It's the London Lowdown.
There we go. Good evening and welcome to the London Lowdown, brought to you by the Weekly Armchair Sports Talk. I'm Reece. This is Steve. How are you doing this evening, Steve?
Good, mate. Good. Glad to be on the show. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. So tonight's show, as you can see by the shirt that Steve's wearing, tonight's all about Tottenham Hotspur. This is just going to be a brief show, cutting back over Tottenham's last season, going into next season, discussing pretty much where Steve thinks Tottenham are going to go this year in terms of Nuno Espirito Santos. Obviously, he's the new manager, Harry Kane's future. So many topics to cover. So, Steve, pretty much the obvious one is last year, Spurs season. To sum up in your own words, how do you think last season went from yourself? Because obviously, originally you had Jose Mourinho, and then that obviously there was an eventual sacking, the interim manager, not winning the Carabao Cup final as well, unfortunately. But on the grounds of it, how would you sum up last season?
So I guess I've been pretty vocal on here on previous shows about the season. I was very optimistic at the start of the season. I wouldn't say I was like fully like Jose in, but I understood why he was put in there. And I was behind him at the start of the season. Like it looked very promising. You look back to some of the results, like I know, like the Old Trafford result and things like that. Like it looked very bright. And I don't know, we just started to regress, and he went from that flamboyant attacking style. I think. We're 3-0 up against West Ham, and then 10 minutes to go and drew 3-3. I think after that, it was like as if he kind of just reverted back to his safe play. I still look, I don't think he should have been sacked when he was sacked. I think he definitely had to go this summer, but I think he should have been given the cup final. I think that was very, very harsh. But like overall, look, I suppose the season itself was disappointing, but look, it was a season that was quite like no other in terms of empty stadiums, home form and home advantage kind of was out the window. Like we're still like, we've only played a very small amount of games in our new stadium with a full capacity.
That's true, actually. Yeah, that's
there's a massive settling in that we still have to do. In essence, like I was at the very first game in the new stadium against Palace, and I was at the very last Premier League game with full capacity as well against Wolves, which was unfortunately a loss. But I think. Look. Financially, obviously, that the stadium at full capacity next season will be huge for us, game changer. But also, I think just the buzz there and the fans there, I think will be massive for us. So, like last season, if I was to sum it up, like I would say, slightly disappointed, but not like terribly disappointed.
Yeah, I totally get it. Obviously, from the experience of we're both fans of clubs that have been managed by Jose Mourinho. He has won trophies before. Sadly, he didn't win anything at Tottenham. The sort of environment, the club in question, for me, it felt like his Porto days, like a little bit of like this is no disrespect to Spurs, but it's like a similar like an underdog situation where it's not the main favourite to win a trophy. Obviously, Porto are, but in terms of like the Premier League, it's in terms of challenging for major trophies, you wouldn't expect Tottenham to be up there straight away. But with the team you have got, you would think with Mourinho, you would win like an FA Cup or a Carabao Cup or something to get momentum going. I completely agree with you. Yeah, I completely agree with you. I don't think the way he got sacked in terms of like the Carabao Cup final, I thought it was a stupid move by the likes of Daniel Levy and all that. It made no sense. And it was a bit of a bold move as well, because obviously this is a man who has won, I think he's won 3 or 4 Carabao Cups in his period in terms of like the Premier League. He won it with Chelsea, he won it with Man United. You would expect him to give Guardiola's City like a game in the final in terms of like potentially upset them, maybe win it, maybe not, but it was his best opportunity to win something. Sadly, he didn't. I look as well overall in terms of the players you had throughout the season, like Son. One moment throughout the season, obviously I can't forgive, but I can't still deny he's an absolutely brilliant player when it comes to attacking from that left hand side. He's dangerous. Harry Kane, the top goal scorer again, top assists as well in the league, so he won both honours. Such a magnificent player as well. Like, he seems to fit the Spurs style really well. If you lose him, I would hate to. Yeah, I thought he would have. I thought he would have been like a main contender getting the double, but obviously it went to Ruben Diaz, obviously, for Man City winning the league, which
I think, look, call me a conspiracy theorist or whatever, but I genuinely think the reason why Harry Kane didn't get it, and somebody else suggested on Twitter, and it makes perfect sense to me, is that in the voting, like rival clubs, so say Ruben Diaz, his rival club would be Man United, so like no players won't vote for him. But
definitely,
if you look at Spurs, Arsenal, Chelsea, West Ham, none of them are going to vote for Kane.
That's true.
Do you know what I mean? So I think that carried a bit of weight that they would be voting for Diaz would probably give him the advantage there. So somebody pointed that out on Twitter, and I never actually thought of it. It makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I can see what you get, because you wouldn't see, for example, there's always the talk about the Ballon d'Or and what a waste it is now, because it's always the same two. No disrespect to Messi and Ronaldo, but there's been players throughout the past decade, like Wesley Sneijder, Xavi, Franck Ribéry, Robin. You would expect them to have at least won one for the seasons they had, like for their team success, and it still went to Messi and Ronaldo. So I'm like, what's the point?
Yeah.
But you would never see Cristiano Ronaldo going, I give my vote to Lionel Messi, and Messi's going to give his vote to Ronaldo. It's going to be, I'll give my vote to third place because it's going to do me a favour anyway. You're never going to.
Wouldn't have seen.
You're never going to see that.
The likes of PK voting for Ronaldo, or do you know what I mean? So
you would never see it.
You know, so again, look, I think, regardless of him not getting the trophy, the achievement to be the top assist and top goal scorer, was in itself was incredible, you know. So look, it's imperative that we keep him, obviously.
Definitely. That's something we're going to come up to later on, because obviously he is the talking point of Spurs. So I was leaving that till last, because obviously you said you've only got like a free rough hour tonight. So we've done that brief recap. I'm going to move on to the next topic, which I feel is a big one. Obviously, you have, as a club, you've recruited Nuno from Wolves. He's your new manager. He's decided he's not going to go with his standard back three system or back five, and depending on his games, he's decided he's going to mix between a 4-3-3 and a 4-2-3-1, which caught me by surprise. As a Spurs fan, obviously, if you got the Spurs job, that would be class, by the way. That like, you just know you'd be a DJ voice managing the club, by the way. If you don't know, like, Steve is an awesome DJ. But in terms of the job itself, and the fact that he's decided he's going to go by back four, he wants to mix up and play two separate systems, which is fair enough. What's your thoughts on Nuno, and where do you think he can take Spurs? Do you think he's the right man to build to take you to a trophy, or at least be in a good position long term?
I guess I don't think any Spurs fan will say that he was top choice, or maybe even second or third choice. But at the same time, if you look at it, a couple of seasons ago when Wolves were flying, a lot of people were saying, "Jesus, Nuno, he'd be a great manager now at a top club," you know. It's just because of the season he had last year. But when you look at it again, just in the context of like what was going on globally, and then you look at like the injuries that they suffered, and like Traore just kind of like started like drawing blanks, you know. So I guess, look, when Pochettino arrived at the club, he was way down the list, you know. Like we United stole Louis van Gaal from out under us at the time, because there was real uproar over that at the time, because like Van Gaal was like that close to join Tottenham at the time,
and it would have been a brilliant appointment as well.
And then he obviously, like the United came in, swooped in and got him. So, like Pochettino wasn't our first choice, but historically, like we've done well under managers that were never the big name or the so like you look at Redknapp. I mean, Harry Redknapp wasn't the most exotic appointment at the time as well, and look, I mean, like he got us into Champions League football and everything. So, and then we went for the high-profile one in AVB, and that was a disaster.
Was it the last 16 Redknapp got you to the Champions League? Was the last 16?
Quarter-final, lost to Real Madrid.
Yeah, I couldn't remember which. I knew you got into the knockout stage. I couldn't remember how far you got. Yeah,
so,
it was
interesting. No matter who came in, like I mean, I'm never going to be a person that's going to go, oh well, to hell with it now. Like, do you know what I mean? That's like, I mean, I'll absolutely back him to the last. I mean, a lot of people said he's very defensive. Like as I said to you, the last Premier League game I was at in the stadium was against Wolves, where we lost 3-2. And I mean, like if you want to say like that was defensive football, I mean, like they played us off the park, like offensively. But in terms of system, like you mentioned, like the rumblings are that he's going playing 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1. Like if he does so, then it's the biggest job this summer lands with our new general manager, Paratici.
Fantastic appointment, by the way.
Yeah, like I mean, look, you look at the rebuild that he did at Juve. Like you know your Italian football a lot better than I would.
Absolutely, yeah.
So like you look at what he did there, and I guess like we desperately need to strengthen and refresh and offload. So, but like if you look at the rumors that are coming out in the last 24 hours or so, from Fabrizio Romano, I'm very happy so far. So that would be imperative towards like how well we do this season. So, but yeah, in terms of Nuno, I'm behind him. I back him. He did great at Wolves. Considering like I mean, he got them up, won the championship, got them up, and was 7th 2 seasons in a row.
7th, yeah.
So and did well with them in Europe as well. So,
am I right in saying that you have announced a signing? Is it Pierluigi Galini?
We haven't announced it, but Fabrizio gave it the here we go. So
to wrap it
so the goalkeeper, on loan, with the option of a second-year loan, and I think it's a 15 million fee. But
that's all right.
Look, Hugo Lloris is 34, and he's got 1 year left on his contract. So I think, look, it's a smart appointment in terms of it's risk-free, getting him on loan. But you can see, look, that's looking to the future. We may now look to maybe offload Lloris this season and maybe get some value for him. I could maybe see him go to somewhere like Lyon or somewhere like that.
You still have Gazzaniga?
No, he was released.
He was released
last season.
Who's your backup? Joe Hart. Oh God. Yeah. We're not even gonna we're not even gonna go there. I'm not even gonna get to that.
He's like, look,
I know he used to be one of the best goalkeepers in
he was. Yeah, I'm in the keepers union, so I will give him his dues. He was like an elite goalkeeper. He changed. He brought a lot of flair to the goalkeeping thing. Like, in City were winning titles, he was brilliant for them. But he's a massive voice at the club, in the changing room and things like that. Like, I mean, all the other players, like, they call him Big Joe. He's got great experience and a wealth of knowledge there. So, but Golini will be again the future. The other signing or potential signing from Atalanta is the one I'm more interested in. If we got Cristiano Romero, like, he's unbelievable, phenomenal talent. So But again, it's funny because like Atalanta have the option to buy him for like 16 million or 20 million euros, I think it is.
16, yeah, which to them is a good value anyway. They could sell for more.
Which is the price that Paratisi negotiated when he negotiated the loan deal. But I would imagine we'll probably be looking at paying double that.
Something like that. It's a good move as well because he is quick. He is good with the ball.
He's young.
He is young, but he's shown at Atlanta he can lead a defence, and you do need that because the centre backs you do have. You still got Alderweireld, who's an experienced centre back, but he's in the twilight of his career. Eric Dyer, with all due respect to him, he ain't a centre back.
No.
Davinson Sanchez, big money. He hasn't convinced, and he's never really shown. He has never really shown for the Premier League. And am I right in saying that's it? Yeah. I think it's a bit too soon for him. He's a good player, but I think he's still a little bit too soon.
I think Joe Rodon, will feature a lot more next season. And like if you look at his games for Wales, he got very few minutes for us last season, but when he played, he looked more than capable. But in particular this summer for Wales, up against international quality, he definitely showed that he has quality.
He was comfortable as well when asked to do a role where he's just sitting there marking someone out if he needs to lead or just take advantage of the defence. Like he's certainly shown he can do it. So I absolutely agree. I'm just going to quickly come to a comment from which funnily enough is from Kane. Lamela leaving. Is this like James? Is he looking to get moved on by Nuno or?
So this is one of the most important roles that Paratisi has this summer is offloading. Like Eric Lamela, when we signed him, it was like 8 years ago.
30 million he cost, wasn't it?
And he was I get why he was signed. I mean, like he was phenomenal for Roma. He was the young player of the year, I believe, Serie A the season we signed him, and he was just marauding down the wings in Serie A, and I just don't know what happened. He was like bought out of the Bale money. He was bought to replace Bale, and like last season, Bale still came back and did better. Bale scored more Premier League goals last season than Lamela has done since he joined Tottenham.
Says it all, really. Which does it all, and
he's been injured. He's missed 2.5 full seasons worth of games through injury. He's never. Now he's one of those players. Like he was absolutely dogged. When he played with his absolute heart on his sleeve, always. But he just never really had the end quality that we needed, But then scores 2 Rabonas, and that's all he'll ever be remembered for.
Absolutely. If I can see, this is a Romano comment which you'll be familiar with. Brian Gill, Tottenham and Lamela, his swap deal. Personal terms are agreed, and it's also saying here Seville will receive 25 million as part of the deal. So, Steve, it's about 20 million.
So he has a release fee, 43 million, I think. So the player plus cash triggers that. But I won't pretend to know a huge amount about him. But from what I've heard from people who know La Liga, they've said he's absolutely phenomenal. They're basically they're saying maybe only Pedri and Ansu Fati would be ahead of him in terms of young talent in La Liga. So look, he's the kind of signing, like I said earlier on, that when we often see Man City signing these young players, I'm always like, that's the kind of player we should be signing.
So jealous, you get jealous.
I feel that he's that level. So, but what I do like so far, what I'm seeing from the transfers that are rumored, is that it's offloading. I wouldn't even say dead wood, but offloading, the squad is stale. You
in terms of that squad, who would you offload on the grounds? Because obviously Lamela's going, so we can rule him out.
Sissoko, Aurier, Sanchez, Alderweireld, like Lucas maybe. He has a part to play, I suppose. I'm not Giovanni Lo Celso's biggest fan. Like he cost us 50 odd million pounds.
Yeah,
Hasn't really contributed, but he's been injured an awful lot. He looked good for Argentina in the Copa America, I have to say. But and Ben Davies.
that's roughly about 8 players. I do have one other name there, potentially a ninth, give or take. I think he's the markings of a player, but I don't know if he's convincing enough. Like that's maybe just me looking in as a rival fan. Steven Bergwijn.
Yeah, like so. I intentionally left his name out because I still think he needs another season.
Yeah.
Like he didn't get a good go under Jose.
He was left out, unfortunately, a lot. Yeah.
Like he scored a couple of big goals for us since coming in. Like scored that volley against City on his debut. He scored a great goal against Man United.
Sadly.
So he's like he has the makings of a quality player. I just don't know, is it like top 6, top 4 Premier League quality? But I still would be very happy for him to spend another season at Tottenham.
Yeah, I think that's fair in terms of that. And in terms of overall positions, in terms of depth, so obviously it looks like Brian Gill's coming in, so that's a sign-in. You're bringing in a goalkeeper, so that's 2 positions. We mentioned centre-back, which frankly does need strength. Is there any other positions in that Tottenham team?
Right back.
Right back.
Yeah. Aurier has to go. I think Aurier gets an incredibly bad rap. Like he's incredibly athletic. He does have a nice cross on him. He can be quite brainless at times. It gives away
just not effective in certain positions. Oh, right, I get what you mean. Right, I get what you mean.
You know, so he gets caught out of position like a lot. So like we have Jaffa Tanganga, who has shown glimpses that he can be a top player, but it's hard to tell whether he is a centre back or a right back. Matt Doherty, look, he flourished under Nuno at Wolves. In the wing back position, we signed him and then never really played him at wing back. So I don't know, but look, again, I mean, if he was a backup, I wouldn't be too hard to buy. But we certainly need that. We also we need a striker. If you we had Vinicius on loan last season. He's gone back. Do you know what I mean? So we only have Harry Kane.
It's a good point because you have is it Troy Parrott or Scar?
Troy Parrott. Troy Parrott's not going to make it, I think.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that because I asked you in the Armchair Sports Talk group chat. I asked you about the young players specifically, and I mentioned those 2, and I just wanted your thoughts. And you did say honestly you didn't think he was going to make it, and it's just, and to be fair, that's an honest opinion. But you could prove you wrong. But to be fair, at least you're honest in the back of it. But Scarlett, I think he is going to make it. There is one name mentioned, obviously, because it is Nuno. Keane has mentioned it in the live comments, and to be fair, I would have this guy at Man United, but I have a feeling you would take him at Spurs. This man.
Yeah. Jimenez or Neto would probably be the 2 players that I would like the most to come from there. I don't see us taking anyone from Wolves other than Cody, but I don't think it's doable, to be honest. I wouldn't say we'll be kind of rating them at all for players, but then who knows? I mean, like Mendes likes his Portuguese clients, and Nuno is his client, Paratici is his client, so they have a good relationship. So who knows? But if I was to get anybody from Wolves, I would like it to be Neto. But I think the fact that we're signing Brian Hill means we're probably not going to be looking at other wingers.
Yeah, at least it's in the step in the right direction in terms of improving. I was thinking, but not from a striker, but you mentioned you would move on Ben Davies. Now, obviously, he's more of a wing back than a full back. But if you were to replace Ben Davies, would you take Johnny from Wolves?
You see,
He
what
is like
everybody
a
forgets is that, like, we've Ryan Sessegnon.
Oh, do you? You still got him? I thought he was. I thought he had moved
no, he was
on.
out. No, he was only out on loan last season in Bundesliga, so he's back. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he was fantastic at Wolves. Again, like, that's another player. We paid £30 million for him. Like,
Yeah.
in the last year of his contract, I mean, that was massive money for him. We should have left him at Fulham for another year on loan.
Behave you.
To get another season under his belt.
Yeah.
He did very well at Hoffenheim last year. So I'm looking forward to seeing him back. That's what I think. Him and Oliver Skip, who he was in the championship team of the year last season. Norwich fans were absolutely devastated that he's not going back there either on loan again or permanently. I think he would be the player that we wanted Harry Winks to be.
Funny you should mention that because like
that's another player we need to get rid of.
Funny you mention him because he seems to be linked to Man United all the time, and I'm like, with all due respect, I wouldn't even have him in like I wouldn't even have him in a championship Scottish team. I don't think he's that good.
No, I think Winks is another player who like he always plays with all heart. He is a very tidy passer of the ball, but just he's probably like I could see him maybe at a Southampton or a Brighton or Newcastle or something. You know, that kind of
that sort of level would make sense. Yeah. Is there any other like similar to what I did with William last week? I don't know if you watched the show last week, but I asked William a specific question. I went to him. You can have three signings, optimistic or realistic, whatever you want. And I said to him, 3 players you would get rid of on the spot. So I'm going to ask you the same. So out of the players you've mentioned, who would you get rid of straight away? And what 3 would you bring in, like, off the bat of your head?
Lamela, Sissoko and Winks.
Okay.
Partly as well because of like Sissoko was again our club record signing when we got him. And
shockingly,
he's on like 95 or 100 grand a week, so that's a big wage off our books as well. And then just 3 signings that I would want. I'd love to see Danny Ings come in. I think he would work so well with Kane, and then also as a lone striker, like to rest Kane. As I said, like I think like Pedro Neto, and I'd like to see a big centre half come in. So Romero, ideally, I know like we were heavily linked to Joachim Anderson, who was at Fulham last season.
I thought you would have.
Romano was saying that like he wants to go to Tottenham, and we were very heavily interested in him. But I think Lyon then are pricing him out of the deal. I think they want like 30-odd million euros. So I think if we had the choice between spending that on him or on Romero, it would be better spent on Romero.
Yeah, jump at the gun and get somebody who's playing European football as well, who's got that experience.
Yes.
Funnily, I mentioned European football. Spurs are the English representative in the European Conference League. What's your thoughts on that? Are you going to lose to Roma in the final, or are you going to win the trophy?
Absolutely, nailed on. Jose outdoes us in the final. Look, a lot of people were kind of like, oh, like I don't want to be in that. Or like, of course you do. You always want to be in something that you could win.
You win it, you get to the Europa League. I'm pretty sure. So
it's such a stupid attitude. I just don't understand it at all. Like even like some people like would be saying, oh, like you're better off not in that Europa League at all. You know what I mean? Like that's stupid attitude. You want to be in whatever competitions you can be in to win it. I'm very intrigued by this Europa conference. It's a great chance for us to blood young talent. For the likes of we'd say Scarlett, Alfie Devine, all those player Jack Clark, who we spent £10 million on from Leeds.
See the midfielder?
The winger, we bought him from Leeds, and he's been on loan at like Stoke and that, like so. Look, so I'm happy that we are in the Europa Conference, even if we don't win it, but to get players minutes, get them exposure to away days, European football. And I'd love if we drew someone like Dundalk or someone in as well that I could maybe get to.
It's like a near enough local game for you, isn't it? Like local-ish, isn't it? Like Dundalk.
Yeah, well, like I mean, like that'd only be 2 hours of a drive. Like, do you know what I mean? So
That's all right. That's all right. It'll be good atmosphere at least. It'll be a good atmosphere
so
to watch.
I'm not one of those people that like is saying like, oh, we're better off out of it. Absolutely not. We're way better off in any competition we can be in that we can win.
I agree. I'm in the same mindset as you. I mean, like I think people that are, I know a few Arsenal fans that are buzzing that their club finished 8th, so they wouldn't even be in the Europa Conference League. But what you've just said sums up exactly my point of view. If there's an opportunity to be in European football, doesn't matter what the competition is.
Yeah.
You take your chance. Like even if you don't win it, it's exactly as you said. It's good experience. It's good to get the away days. You get into Europe, like experience new teams, scout new players as well.
Yeah. If Arsenal had qualified for the Europa Conference and we finished 8th, you could be sure that they would be buzzing that they're in and we're not in European football.
Exactly. They can still take the pride of having European football for another year. But on the grounds of that, in terms of next season, where do you think, obviously the minute your transfer business isn't finished yet, but say for example, Nuno gets all his business done, gets the team flying, where do you see Tottenham next season in terms of league position or getting to a final, like potentially a final again? And what do you see and what are your hopes for next year?
My hopes for next year are a good go at that Europa Conference. I think it's the perfect competition for us to be in with a new manager. So, because look, there's a good chance that we can do well in it, and I think Nuno is going to want to do that. And still, look, top 6 will be an improvement. Do you know? So, like, if we got top 6 and look, if we got a trophy, I'd be absolutely buzzing. But I'd like a fair go at that Europa Conference and maybe a domestic cup run as well. But top 6 definitely get into Europa League again, or who knows, like the Champions League. I think the fans back in the stadiums is going to make a huge difference, and I think in particular for Tottenham.
Because it's one of the nicest stadiums as well in terms of world football. It's one that me personally, if I got to go as an away day, I certainly would. It looks absolutely fantastic. I do have one question actually, based on, obviously there was the I'm not going to get into it too much, but there was the protest situation over the Super League, and obviously there's been changes at Tottenham, which you've been, obviously in terms of like the group chat, I've seen you vocal about it. There's good things for Tottenham in terms of fan forum. There's more engagement. As a Spurs fan yourself, looking in, because you're part of the supporters, Spurs supporters, isn't it?
I'm a member of I'm a member of the supporters club, and I'm also a member of the supporters trust.
And in grounds of where yous are going, in terms of communication with like the above board, how's that going in terms of like? Because obviously the Super League was an absolute disaster for the clubs that were involved. In terms of reputational damage, obviously there was calls for people within Spurs to be sacked. Obviously the likes of Daniel Levy, that was regardless of what he's done in terms of bringing in money, getting the stadium going, people wanted him gone because loss of trust there. So in terms of like now, how is that relationship actually going? Is there a sense of rebuilding trust?
So like I guess like he kind of did a video interview, which he never does. And he even commented in that saying like how private he is about that. And look, it's one thing that I won't say like I praise him for, but like he doesn't come out like and make bold statements or gets involved in drama or anything like that. So there's a lot to be said for that too. But he's made some terrible footballing decisions for the club in the last couple of years. He's an incredible businessman. And I will always give him his dues in the sense of that. Like when you look at the training facility that he's built for the club, and he's constantly looking to improve it and build on it, and he's built that like 5-star hotel there, and it was used like even like a lot of the England players, like Grealish and them, like commented when they were training at our training ground, saying that they actually could not believe the standard that's there. So like that's down to Daniel Levy. I have to, and the stadium as well. But I think he thinks that like his business acumen translates to the football side of it, and it absolutely doesn't. And I think even he's now realised that he needs to step away from that, and it looks like he has. I mean, the rumblings and dealings that it looks like we're doing at the moment, transfer wise, absolutely look like they're all Paratici and not Daniel Levy at all. So, he has a lot of work to do because he goes to every game.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
unlike other high up people within the so-called big six tops, if you want to call it.
It's like he says he's a Tottenham fan as well, and I guess like we're never going to get rid of him in terms of like as a chairman because he has a 20% stake in the club as well personally. So
he has a wealthy man as well. Yeah.
So I think the best we can hope for is that he does step away from the football side of it. I think he realised that and saw like 62,000 people like shouting abuse at you, like first day of the season, like isn't something I'm sure he that's ever attracted to him. So I can imagine he's done this in the hope of kind of building, mending some of the bridges that he burnt.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd be interested to see. Look, the summer will tell a lot transfer wise. I think if we were to lose Kane, I think it's irreparable, and I hate to see the reception he get the first game.
Absolutely, because obviously we're going to touch on Harry Kane at the end, but you've mentioned several times throughout the podcast one name that stands out, and for me, he's one of the absolute best in the business, and that is Paratici. What he's done at Juventus over the past decade itself, the man deserves the respect he's earned for what he's done. He brought in Dybala underneath the noses of AC Milan. Milan were about to sign him on deadline day. Within 5 minutes, he was a Juventus player. Like, that's how fast this guy is. Like, he's lethal with getting his job done. He's ruthless. He knows what he needs to do. In terms of, you mentioned Daniel Levy, you would prefer him to step back. So obviously, with all respect to whatever a man's done, you're right, the abuse that would be for any human being hard to come back from. Obviously, as a Man United fan, we've seen every like Glazer chants, certain ones like "Die Glazer, die" and all that stuff. Yeah. That gets to you personally, and it would get to you personally. So as a Levy, obviously being a self-proclaimed Spurs fan, which you would hope as well, you wouldn't want someone who's in that position to quote unquote fuck your fans about, because the fan base is the lifeblood of a club. To get Paratici in for him is an absolute masterstroke because it lets him run the club. How confident are you from what he's done at Juventus? How confident are you in terms of Paratici in terms of what he can do with Spurs? Because it's a totally different ballgame going from Serie A, where he's been in the top job for Italy's best club for the past decade. Now he's coming to a club that, with all due respect, they haven't won a league title since 61, and you haven't won a trophy since 2008. This is a good way to show his credentials. How confident are you in that?
So, like, again, I'm basing anything my judgment on him, say, on people like yourself, with a better knowledge of Italian football than me, and would say other sources and that, say, like on Twitter and that. But one of the things that I tweeted about today was one of the things I like the most so far is, if you look at, say, Romano came out yesterday and said that the deal for the Atlanta keeper, Golini, was basically done over the line, and the Romero one was close. And today, then, this deal for Brian Gill and Lamela swap deal, again, like, not a single one of those ITK accounts like had any sniff of that whatsoever all along until boom, Romano gives the here we go. Do you know? So that tells me all I really need to know about Paratici. In that, like,
he does a silent work. That's what I like.
So all of these rumors and all of that now, like and like this and that, like that has been going on for the last couple of weeks. Of that, like, is yes, okay, fair enough. Like somebody said that he could be dealing with 10 targets for the one position at a time. So like you might hear of like 40 names that are linked to Spurs that like he has probably made a phone call for every one of those. But you'll never know until it's basically a done deal as to who
Which
it is.
one?
So that's what I like the most about it. Like another big change at Tottenham as well that kind of went under the radar is like our head of communications, Simon Sheep, I think his name was, who was at the club for 15 years, has recently been relieved of his duties, and he's been put on 3 months gardening leave.
Is he the one that was leaking? It was leaking things.
So that's what the rumors are. Is that he was the one that was leaking kind of internal stuff, in particular about like the management hunt. So it's very, very strange that happened. But the moment he's gone, we're doing these deals completely under the radar. So who knows? But look, I think like Paratici, again, he'll get my full backing until he does something that doesn't warrant it. But so far, so good.
Yeah, that's a good thing. And obviously, coming from yourself, like as an honest man, like you said, you don't particularly know much, but you're going based on what you've seen. I think that's the best approach because, like you mentioned, there's some people, quote unquote, talk out of their ass. There's people that do, and you see it everywhere. There's always a bullshitter somewhere, and I'm like, nah, mate. I'd rather listen to Romano or The Athletic. That's plenty. Gonna come on to one or two more topics to wrap up. Because obviously, like you said, you only had an hour, so because you're a very busy man, I'm going to leave your main man till last. But the second to last topic is it was about the young players that you've got. Is there any of these young players that have gone out on loan that are coming back in that you think need to go out again? And there's any you want to see in the first team next year, like as an actual don't start, but within the squad?
Like definitely, like as I said to you, like Ryan Sessegnon, like he's only 21, you know. I'd like to see a bit more of him. Oliver Skip, I'm excited to see Skip. Where he like what role he'll play, I'm not sure because formation wise, if Nuno goes 4-3-3, I think he'll have Højbjerg in Dombele, and like I don't see him starting Skip over Lo Celso.
Yeah.
You know, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But he'll definitely see a lot of minutes. I think Oliver Skip. Like then, if you look younger again, probably like as I said, like Dave Scarlett.
He's the one for you. Like he's the one that you like,
really. Like even Jose said that like if everything goes right for him and he applies himself, Jose said that like he has the makings to be top player. Like, you know, he's 17. Even he scored in our friendly the other day.
Brilliant!
Just like the confidence that he took on the goal with his weaker foot. Just the ball was played, lovely weighted pass through by Lucas, one touch through a ball, and Scarlett came in and confronted the keeper and didn't take any touch, just waited, and then with his weaker foot tucked it in by the post. And then we have Alfie Devine, so he's only 16, but again tipped for the very, very top. So next season I would say he goes out on loan. I think Skip would feature a lot and Sessegnon would feature a lot. I
don't particularly recall watching Devine. What position does he play?
Midfield. He played. We played that non-league team last season in the FA Cup, Marine.
Oh right, okay.
He played against them, yeah.
All right, okay. I just remember the scoreline. I don't particularly remember him playing. To be honest, it was an absolute thrashing. In terms of we're going to get to Harry Kane in just a moment, because obviously that's going to be the big topic to close the show. Last overall question. I'll leave it to the viewers in the chat if anyone wants to get involved. If you had to put your hand out in terms of next season, which player for you is going to be Spurs? If bar Harry Kane or Son, which player for you is going to be Spurs' most important player next year out of the two usual suspects?
Like going to be our most important player, or like say, like what I think is going to be a massively kind of a make or break thing for is in Ndombele. He's flattered to deceive so far, but he's shown glimpses of like his world class potential. But again, it's
Jose
just
made no sense.
Sorry.
When Jose played him as an attacking midfielder, with all due respect, he isn't attacking. That didn't make any sense.
Yeah, like look, again, I mean, like he's 24.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, he's very, very young, but I think we need the right balance in midfield, and it depends what formation that Nuno will go for, as to how well he will do. But definitely, like Nuno is someone who relies heavily on his midfielders and their stamina. So, like fitness wise, it's a big season for him. But look, I think maybe he won't be our most important player, but I definitely feel it is a very, very important season for him.
Yeah, I completely understand that, and I'm hoping, obviously, in terms of like a player like that, like a young player of that potential, obviously you want them to do well, even if it's for a rival. It gives them confidence as well, to see how far they can go. So I completely agree. We are going to move on to the final topic of the evening. You're probably, as a phrase you would say up here, shitting bricks. He is the main man of Tottenham. He is Harry Kane. In terms of next season, obviously he won the double awards in terms of the goals, the playmaking award. He didn't get Player of the Year. He had a Euros where it started slow, he didn't score, and then eventually it just clicked for him. He missed that crucial penalty as well, but then he made up for it in terms of like scoring one as well. Like he got a crucial goal. In terms of next season, where do you see for Harry Kane in terms, obviously, for yourself, obviously you want Harry Kane to stay, but in terms of staying or going, like what do you see happening? And lastly, is there anything that Spurs can realistically do to help Harry Kane get the trophy that he can do with Spurs, or do you think he may not be he may not succeed, but he could potentially break the Shearer record? Because obviously it has been a stumbling block over the years for Spurs in terms of winning the trophy. So just in terms of asking it, do you think he could finally get that done?
So I don't think he goes anywhere. So I just think not like I just think that the money that would be involved was like for what he's worth, like, because what people tend to forget when they're typing all these articles on Sky Sports or wherever is that like the selling club dictates the price, not the buying club. So you see all these rumors where like say like 100 million this and 100 million that, like it's I don't think Daniel Levy picks up the phone for less than 160, 170 million for Harry Kane.
Because he has
like,
premium for what he delivers,
But that's what he's worth to us. Like you have to remember, like, so look at last season, like he's 20 goals a season. That's it. Like, do you know what I mean? He's 20 goals a season minimum. Now he's added all those assists to his locker. His passing range is amazing. Always has been anyway. He also has 3 years left on the contract.
I was going to ask how long did he have? Obviously, 3 years as well.
So even if we don't sell him this summer and we have that gentleman's agreement where like he can go next year, we'll still get 100 million or more for him next summer with 2 years left on his contract. So why would we sell him this year? My only fear, no, he's the ultimate professional, of course. But the only thing I fear is like if he doesn't get a move this summer, like does he? Not that he sulk, but like does it kind of just let a little bit of air out of the balloon? Doesn't pop the balloon, but just maybe deflates him a little bit, and he maybe not perform to the levels that he did last season. I think him and Jose like were just so on the same level mentality, and they got like Kane has been very vocal about how well he got on with him. And so I think like a lot of what he was doing last season was for Jose, and I think like he wanted that trophy. But like when people say that Kane has to move from Tottenham to win trophies, like he's had plenty of opportunity to win trophies at Tottenham.
Yeah, there were obviously there was a title challenge. There was the Carabao. Well, not like the
title challenge. He's been in cup finals. He's been in cup semi-finals, and like, look, I love him to absolute bits. So like, this isn't like but like he's not scored in them. Do you know? So you can say like, oh, he'll have to go to Man City to win trophies, but like he played in the final of the Euros, he didn't score. He played in the Champions League final, he didn't score. He played in the Carabao Cup final, he didn't score. He's played in cup semi-finals where he hasn't scored. So you could argue to say that maybe he doesn't need to leave. Maybe he needs to like show up in those finals with Spurs. But look, if next summer he goes, I wouldn't begrudge it.
Typical internet, typical. But it seems to be holding. But no, you're right. He has been games where he hasn't shown. He hasn't shown it.
He's only 60 goals off the all-time Tottenham goal scoring record. So, like, he's Tottenham born and bred as well. So that might mean a lot to him as well. He's third in our all-time top scorers list. He's only, I think, it's 10 goals behind Bobby Smith, and then Jimmy Greaves is like 60 ahead of him.
So I don't know where Steve is gone. I guess just because it cut me out. Sorry, guys. My internet was acting up. Let's see if I can get Steve back before we can end it. If we are still live, this is good. I'm hoping anyway. Hopefully we're still going. My internet is an absolute nightmare, so I do apologize, guys. I hate this place sometimes. I'll see if I can get Steve back in. That is my fault there, guys. I do apologize. I'll see if I can still get him. Yeah, we're still live. Yeah, we're still live. Connections are right clown sometimes. So just there, but whilst I'm waiting on Steve as he coming, because like I said, Steve's only available for the hour, so we will be wrapping up the show in about 5-10 minutes anyway. But we were talking about Harry Kane in terms of where we see him next season. I still think he's going to stay. I don't think he's leaving Spurs, but he is so important. I get where Steve was coming from, the importance of Harry Kane at Tottenham. He's added assists to his game. He's still getting goals, but he hasn't, as Steve has rightly mentioned, there was games he hasn't scored. He hasn't scored in semi-finals. He hasn't scored in cup finals, which is important. He needs to add that to his game. Hi, mate. Sorry, that it just cut me off there. At least it was only like a minute Like I was just reiterating there. I know you don't have long, but I'm glad I can still get back in. Don't know if you heard. We're just reiterating the Harry Kane. So it was just oh, he's disconnected again. He may be having connection issues, but he won't be long. I'm going to open up to the live chat before I'm going to open up to the live chat just before the show does end tonight. Harry Kane at Tottenham. Does he stay? Does he go? And if so, what does he do next year for Spurs? What can he achieve? Will he be Player of the Year? Could be Player of the Year. Will he get the same amount of goals and assists that he's had under Nuno? Will he play a different role in terms of not playing as deep? He'll play closer to the opposition box. What do we see for Harry Kane next year? And could Harry Kane finally lead Spurs to a trophy? Get that in the comments, see what you are thinking. If you haven't already, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button as well for the Weekly Armchair Sports Talk. You can catch the channel on Twitter as well. It's Weekly Armchair on Twitter. It's all there. We also have the pods that are coming up in the show. We've got the Academy show, which is done by Kane, Shane and Dylan. That'll be on, I think it'll be on Thursday, another show there. We will have that going. He's just messaged me as well saying he can't get back in. I will keep going just for a couple of minutes before I wrap up. But I will just say, in terms of the London Lowdown, in terms of where we're going. So last week we've done Arsenal. Spurs we've reiterated by Harry Kane. We've done in terms of the Spurs show this week. It's potentially going to be Chelsea next week. I'll be speaking to Kane first, so I need to get that done. But in terms of where the podcast is going, if there's anything you want to discuss in terms of the London clubs, feel free, just drop in the comments. I'll answer any questions that I can, any my guests have. What I see for Spurs next year, I'm going to say briefly. I think Spurs will be within the top six again. I think they'll finish around about 6th or 7th. I do see Harry Kane staying. I don't know if they'll win anything, but I do think they will reach another semi-final. I think they will get to. I think it'll be the FA Cup semi-final. To be honest, I think Nuno will get them a run. The Europa Conference League is an interesting one. Spurs are going to be the English representatives. Do I think they're going to win it? Possibly, but it's good for the youngsters, as Steve said. He was my guest this evening. He was absolutely fantastic. Sadly, it's not letting him back in. I don't know why. It might just be the link might just be acting up, and sadly this does happen. But overall, it's been a great show. I just want to say to the viewers, thanks for tuning in as well. We are going to wrap it up there, and keep an eye on future content from the Weekly Armchair. This has been the London Lowdown. Steve was my guest. I'm Reece. Thanks for tuning in, and have a good week, guys.